The room that eats people. I wouldn't have gone if it weren't for Mia. That night, when the rain started falling in sheets and the thunder grumbled low on the horizon, I thought it was the perfect excuse to cancel. But Mia was insistent, her voice crackling through the phone line with the same electric energy she carried everywhere. "You don't believe in that stupid legend, do you?" she teased, her tone dancing between mockery and dare. I laughed nervously, brushing my damp hair from my face. Of course not. But sneaking into an abandoned building during a thunderstorm? Sounds like the setup for a bad horror movie. Exactly why we have to do it, she said, unyielding. That was Mia, always chasing the thrill, dragging me along for the ride. I told myself it was just another of her impulsive adventures, nothing to worry about. The stories about the old high school science building were just that. Stories. But as I grabbed my jacket and flashlight, I couldn't shake a strange feeling, a heaviness pressing against my chest, like unseen hands trying to hold me back. The science building was a forgotten relic at the edge of town, its windows broken, its walls covered in graffiti. Rumors said it was haunted, cursed, or both. It had been abandoned for years after a student disappeared without a trace. No one could agree on the details. Some said he was last seen walking into a storage room on the 3rd floor. Others claimed he was never at school that day at all. The only certainty was that he was gone. When I met Mia at the corner near the school, the storm was in full swing. She grinned at me, her wet hair plastered to her forehead. Ready to face the room that eats people? Her words sent a shiver down my spine. I forced a grin. Lead the way. The building loomed before us, dark and silent, its silhouette jagged against the lightning-lit sky. As we approached, I swore I felt a pair of unseen eyes watching us. The feeling grew stronger as we climbed through a broken window into the hallway. The air inside was thick and damp, clinging to my skin like cobwebs. "This place is disgusting," I muttered, shining my flashlight ahead. Mia laughed. "Don't be such a baby. Come on." She strode confidently down the corridor, but I lagged behind, my every step echoing unnaturally. The floor creaked beneath me, each sound amplified in the oppressive silence. Shadows stretched and twisted on the walls, warped by the beam of my flashlight. By the time we reached the staircase, my unease had blossomed into full-blown dread. The 3rd floor was worse. The air was colder here, almost freezing, and the shadows seemed darker, deeper. My flashlight flickered, the beam stuttering like a heartbeat. "3rd floor," Mia announced, her voice too loud in the emptiness. She didn't seem fazed by the eerie stillness, but I felt like the building itself was listening. At the end of the hallway stood a single door. It looked ordinary, just a plain wooden door with peeling paint and rusted hinges. But there was something wrong about it, something I couldn't put into words. It was as if the door didn't belong, like it had been transplanted from another place entirely. "This is it," Mia said, her voice tinged with excitement. A low hum filled the air, so faint I almost missed it. It wasn't mechanical, more like the sound of breath, slow and rhythmic. "Mia." I hesitated. "Maybe we shouldn't." "Oh, come on." She rolled her eyes, her hand already on the doorknob. "It's just a room." The door creaked open, revealing absolute darkness. My flashlight couldn't penetrate it. The beam vanished as though swallowed whole. "Creepy," Mia whispered, stepping inside. "Mia, wait!" I grabbed her arm, but she shook me off. "Relax. It's just a room, see?" She walked farther in, her figure disappearing into the void. My heart pounded as I called her name. "Mia?" Silence. I stepped closer to the doorway, my breath shallow. The humming grew louder, vibrating in my bones. "Mia, this isn't funny," I said, my voice shaking. Still no answer. The hairs on the back of my neck rose. I didn't want to go in, but I couldn't leave her. With a deep breath, I crossed the threshold. The moment I entered, the door slammed shut behind me, plunging me into total darkness. It was like stepping into another world. The air was thick and suffocating, pressing against me like a living thing. I couldn't see, couldn't breathe. And then I heard it. A voice, faint and whispering, speaking words I didn't understand. "Mia!" I called, but my voice sounded far away, as though the room was swallowing it. Then, from somewhere in the darkness, Mia's voice echoed back, soft and distorted. "Help me." And then the whisper stopped. The darkness was alive. That was the only way to describe it. It pressed against my skin, heavy and damp, like being buried beneath layers of wet earth. The air was thick, each breath a struggle. My flashlight was useless. Its beam vanished into the void, swallowed whole. "Mia!" I called again, my voice trembling. The sound barely carried, muffled by the oppressive blackness. Then her voice came back to me, faint and distorted, as though it was traveling from somewhere far away. "Help me." I took a shaky step forward, my sneakers scuffing against the floor. Or at least I thought it was the floor. The surface beneath my feet felt wrong, not quite solid. My steps echoed strangely, the sound reverberating too long, as if the space stretched endlessly around me. The whispers began again, soft and insidious. At first, they seemed distant, a mere background noise, but they grew louder with each step I took. Dozens of voices speaking in unison, chanting words I couldn't understand. I froze, my heart hammering in my chest. The voices weren't coming from around me. They were coming from inside me, vibrating in my skull, worming their way into my thoughts. "Bring another," they whispered. "One must stay." "What do you want?" I shouted into the darkness, my voice cracking. The whispers stopped abruptly, leaving a silence so profound it rang in my ears. Then something moved, a faint shimmer in the blackness ahead, like ripples across the surface of a dark lake. I moved toward it instinctively, one hand outstretched. The shimmering grew brighter, and I realized it wasn't light at all but a figure, a shape carved from the same inky blackness as the room itself. It was humanoid but wrong, its proportions stretched and warped. "Mia," I whispered, my voice barely audible. The figure tilted its head as though studying me. Then it spoke, but not in Mia's voice. Its tone was deep and layered, as if 100 voices were speaking at once. "She is here," it said, gesturing toward the void. "But she is not yours to take." "What do you mean?" I demanded, my voice trembling. "Where is she?" The figure stepped closer, and I stumbled back, nearly tripping over my own feet. It raised a hand, or what passed for a hand, and pointed to the floor. There, lying in the faint glow of the figure's presence, was Mia's bracelet. I snatched it up, my fingers trembling. The charm bracelet felt cold, almost unnaturally so, and the sight of it filled me with dread. "Give her back," I demanded, clutching the bracelet to my chest. The figure chuckled, a hollow, bone-deep sound. "She is part of this place now, as you will be." "No," I whispered, backing away. "I won't let that happen." The figure loomed closer, its presence overwhelming. My flashlight flickered, the dying beam casting jagged shadows across the room, or whatever this space was. I couldn't tell if the walls even existed anymore. She came willingly, the figure said, its voice echoing in the suffocating void. And so have you. One must stay. I don't understand, I shouted. Why? What do you want from us? The figure's hand stretched out, impossibly long, until its fingers brushed against my cheek. The sensation was ice cold, a piercing chill that seemed to seep into my bones. This place is hungry, it whispered. It feeds on fear, on flesh, on you. Panic surged through me, my mind racing for a way out. The whispers resumed, louder now, forming a dissonant symphony of demands. Bring another. One must stay. A memory surfaced, unbidden. The stories, the rumors about objects left behind by the missing. Shoes, backpacks, trinkets. I looked down at the charm bracelet in my hand, its tiny silver charms glinting faintly. It wasn't just a bracelet. It was an anchor. This place needed something personal, something tied to its victim, to keep them here. That was the pattern, the rule. I clutched the bracelet tightly, my knuckles white. If this thing wanted an anchor, maybe I could use that to my advantage. What if I leave this? I asked, my voice shaking but firm. Take it. Let her go. The figure paused, its featureless head tilting as if considering my offer. The whispers faltered, then stopped altogether. You would trade her anchor for your escape? It asked, the voices intertwining into a single, chilling tone. No, I said, forcing myself to meet its hollow gaze. For both of us. The figure was silent, its form shifting like smoke. Finally, it spoke. Only one may leave. I felt a surge of anger, my fear momentarily eclipsed by desperation. Then take me instead, I said. Let her go. The figure laughed, a sound that shook the very air around me. How noble. How pointless. Suddenly, the darkness surged forward, engulfing me. I screamed as the cold closed in, wrapping around me like a vice. Images flooded my mind, Mia's face, the storm, the door. And then, nothing. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on the hallway floor. The door was shut, and Mia was beside me, unconscious but breathing. The bracelet was gone. I didn't question it. I grabbed Mia and fled, stumbling down the stairs and out into the rain. Only when we were safe did I realize the whispers were gone. But deep down, I knew the room wasn't finished with us. It was only waiting. We didn't speak of it on the way home. Mia was pale and silent, clutching my arm as though afraid I might vanish if she let go. Her usual spark was gone, replaced by a hollow, faraway stare. I didn't press her. The questions clawing at my throat could wait. The rain eased by the time we reached her house. I helped her inside, watching as she stumbled to the couch and curled up beneath a blanket. She didn't thank me, didn't even look at me. She just sat there, trembling, her gaze fixed on nothing. I wanted to stay, to make sure she was okay, but something urged me to leave. The storm had passed, but the air outside was unnaturally still, the quiet pressing in like a held breath. I tried to shake the feeling, telling myself it was just the lingering fear. It wasn't. Back in my room, the silence grew unbearable. I turned on every light, but the shadows seemed to creep closer, pooling in the corners and stretching toward me. I told myself I was imagining it, but deep down, I knew better. As I lay in bed, I heard it, the faintest whisper. It was impossible, I told myself. The room was gone. We'd escaped. But the sound persisted, brushing against the edge of my consciousness, like a moth fluttering against glass. I sat up, my breath shallow. The air felt thick again, heavy with an unseen weight. My eyes darted around the room, searching for the source of the sound. But there was nothing there. Then I saw it. On my desk, where I'd left nothing but scattered papers, sat something small and familiar. My heart stopped as I recognized it. One of the charms from Mia's bracelet, its silver surface gleaming faintly in the dim light. A cold dread settled over me, deeper than anything I'd felt in that cursed room. My hand shook as I reached for it, but I couldn't bring myself to touch it. The whispers grew louder. And in the corner of my eye, just at the edge of the shadows, something moved.